Today we are continuing with our series about democracy. About democracy, and we are going to be discussing today the illusion of voter eligibility. The other two previous videos I'll link in the description. The two previous ones are the illusion of choice and then the illusion of public interest. I've discussed those two already. So today we're dealing with the illusion of voter eligibility. There are a few topics about it. So this will be more like an introduction. I'll just give like a basically it's just to show you why the right to vote should should not be so easily given. It should be earned. There are characteristics for you to qualify as a decision maker. There are certain characteristics, there are certain things you have to build in yourself. You can't just give the right to vote because I understand them, and that's the thing about democracy. It seems like it's a really good and noble thing to do to give people the right to vote, but when you look at it, you see that it actually creates problems because the people that now have this right to vote, do they really have the capacity to vote to make? Thank you. It's not just a matter of voting; they have a right to decide. You are giving them the right to decide. The issue is, do they know how to actually decide? Do they have the capacity to actually make the right decision? Because it's not just about deciding. You can't put the fate of a country based on whatever I want. It has to be based on what is best. People can't be imposing their opinion upon millions of other people. They have to, for anything to graduate into the public sphere, it has to be based on facts and it has to be fair. It cannot be opinions, because your opinions, when you deal with opinion, it means that it doesn't have to be right, it doesn't have to be proper, it's what you want. So since you don't want to have to do what is right, you don't have to do what is best, you don't have to do what is helpful, then that power should only be limited to yourself. So your opinion should begin and end with the self. When you are dealing with things concerning yourself, if you feel like taking poison to kill yourself, you can. Nobody can actually stop you. They can advise you, they can counsel you, but you can. It's not it's your life, it's your body, it's you that will feel the pain. If you want to take a hammer and nail your head and put a nail into your head, it's not right, it's not best, but it's your head. But you see, you cannot, if you feel when you take a nail and you use a hammer and you nail your own head, it's stupid, it's not right, it's not helpful, but nobody can stop you because it's your head. It's you that will feel the pain. Does that mean now you should not come and tell people that you want to, because you like nails being in your head, you want to come out to society and try to nail somebody else's head? You can't. If you try to help somebody else, it's more permissible. If the person rejects it and say, no, even though what you are doing for me is a good thing, I don't want it, that's opinion again. It only applies to himself. The person cannot now say that, but since I don't want your help, nobody else should get your help. He cannot say that. Opinions only end with the self. That is, it should be the beginning and end of the jurisdiction of opinion. For something to come up to societal level, you must speak facts, you must speak relatable things. Just like I could come up with a language in my head that only me I understand. But to be able to speak on a public level, I have to use words that are generally accepted, that are generally recognized, that are generally understood. I have to speak the common tongue. And the only thing that can stand as truly common tongue, so to speak, is either what is fair or what makes sense. It has to make sense, it has to be logical. Your emotions and your imaginations can work within yourself because there is really no basis for it. When you have to come down to facts, to the real world, where what you do has to be 1 + 1 equals, where you have engineering laws, you have physical laws, you have to play by the laws, you have to play by the rules. So you can no longer do your imagination. In your mind, you can imagine yourself flying. But when you come to the real world, if you want to fly, you have to play by certain rules. So if you want to make decisions for the public you want to be able to do things in the public on the public scale, they have to be based on facts and not based on imagination, because we are actually trying to solve problems. Even the idea of giving people the right to vote, giving the general populace the right to vote, was because they're trying to solve the problems of the few rich minorities in those days of Greek and the Romans and the dictators, from having isolated power. So they wanted to give the power to everybody. It was an attempt to solve a problem. It was not an end in and of itself. So now, if we have gotten that solution and seen and I found that that solution itself has problems of its own, we have to find a way to edit it. We have to find a way to fix it. So that brings us back to the illusion of voter eligibility. The fact that somebody exists does not mean he understands decision making. Does not mean he understands consequences. And I'll put it simply and mildly. Like I'm trying to say, I think I'm trying to make it clear to you. You can understand where the people that propagated democracy came from. Yeah, it's a very, very noble thing. It looks like a very, very good thing to want everybody to have a say because everybody is ultimately affected, yes. But since the purpose of the decision making, of the voting and the looking for the right leader is so that they can get the right leader and not so that people can impose themselves. If it's about people imposing themselves, then you might have just left it with the dictators in the first place. It's not even about the majority having the say. The majority having the say does not help you because, not to be harsh, but the majority of people are not that smart. Geniuses are very rare. People that can see beyond the surface are very rare. Most people only go with the flow, only go with the crowd. Most people, if they're born into Islam, no matter how much Islam doesn't make sense, they will die there. Most people, if they are born into Christianity, no matter how much Christianity doesn't make sense for they themselves, they will die there. Most people, if they are born into Buddhism, no matter how much Buddhism doesn't make sense, they will die there. There are people in India that worship rats simply because they're born into a family of rat worship. There's no sane person that will be born into and will go back and be worshipping rats. But because that's where they started from, so most people are just followers. They don't really do what they don't really have the ability or they don't really employ that rational reasoning ability to discern and say, no, 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 this doesn't make sense, and decide for themselves. They don't have that temerity, they don't have that strength, that tenacity, that doggedness, and that intellect. So if we are to keep on going with the crowd, we will, for the most part, just keep on, we will either maintain the status quo or even make things worse. Because the crowd, most people take the easy way out, and the easy way out is typically the wrong way. The right way is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. To fix problems is not easy. To see past your bias and to be able to see the actual solutions, even when it's coming from somebody else, is not easy. These are not easy things to do. And leadership positions are supposed to be high, so the standards to attain the leadership position should be high. It should be high. It should not be the way human beings have made it now. Instead of increasing the standards that is required to obtain a leadership position, they have reduced it so that anybody can become a leader, anybody can become a manager, anybody can get promoted. It shouldn't be. It should require very, very high moral standards, very, very high intellectual standards, very, very high willpower standards. Morality, intellectuality, and strength of will, at least. And if that is the requirement for the king, so to speak, then how much more for the kingmaker? So voting and decision making is a very, very sensitive thing. It's not something that should just be given. Let's think about it even on a simple level. If you have a company, even if it has not even made a single dollar or a single naira or a single dirham, or depending on which country you are in, a single pound, would you just take any Tom, Dick, and Harry from the street and make him a member of your board of directors? You would not. You'll be very, very careful of people that you give decision-making power in your entity, in something that is important to you. The fact that someone has a brain does not mean the person can say, hey, I like A or B, does not mean he knows which one he should actually like. There are people that, now remember that for a human being, the more disconnected he feels from something, the less he cares about it. So a country And that is why people are not afraid to steal government money in public offices. Because the country is like it is disembodied. It's like you're not really stealing anybody's money. It's like it's nobody's money, it's nobody's thing. So when you look at it with the fact that human beings, even with things that are extremely important to them, their own lives, most human beings end up at the end of their lives and they regret most of the decisions they made about their own life that they are very, very careful about. They do. Can you say they do not love themselves? They do love themselves. They would have wanted the best for themselves, but they still made the wrong decisions. That's most people. There will be very, very few people you can find out actually proud of their lives and their decisions at the end of their lives. So these people, this class of people should be allowed to vote on something that affect everybody. That person would have preferred it. I think you only, for at least for a sane person, you only want to decide when you are really sure of what, or when you are either sure or at the very least think you are sure of what should be done. When you are not sure and have enough information, you actually want somebody else to make the decision. I've experienced it myself, and I believe, if I to be honest, we all have that experience once in a while. When it comes to highly consequential things, you don't want to make decisions because you don't really know what to do. You want somebody else to bear that burden. So voting without at the risk, without trying to be dismissive of people, but to be effective, you have to be humble. To be effective, you have to be candid. You have to be candid. And most people do not have what it takes to make proper decisions. They are emotional, they are biased, they are partial, they are nonchalant, they are not careful. They do not look at the long-term consequences of this thing. They do not look at the widespread consequences, the long-term consequences. They are too, they don't care enough to look that deep. They don't care enough. Most people. So they just make decisions. People vote for Trump, they don't even know why they voted for Trump. People voted for Obama, they don't really know why, just because he's black. In Nigeria and Africa, the same thing happens. Muslims just vote for Muslims, typically. Typically. Maybe someone from this tribe votes for his person, or you vote for your friend. So if the person that wins the election ends up being the one that has the most friends, not the one that can do the job the best, the one that has the most contacts, we need problems to be solved. We don't need illusions of solutions. It's illusions of solutions. These solutions that do not really solve the problem. So democracy, with all its beauty and all its niceness and its kindness, it won't really solve the problem. Tomorrow I was going to go into the scarcity of genius, but that time we are taking a bit of time. Tomorrow I'll discuss the scarcity of genius and why going by numbers is not the way to go if you really want to have the best decisions. So I think I've said enough for today. Tomorrow we'll pick up from there. I'll see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves.